The new regime is entering year 2 and they have a little more what they want on the roster. Quarterback Derek Carr either didn't know the offense well enough last year or isn't a good fit for it, so he's out of here. Jimmy Garoppolo does know and fit Josh McDaniels' offense. He was Tom Brady's backup while McDaniels was the offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots. He was 3-0 as a starter under McDaniels too. Tight end Darren Waller doesn't fit McDaniels either. He's a freak athlete, but he's not the prototypical tough guy that appreciates the contact portion of football, so he's out. Now the question is, does Hunter Renfrow fit? A large portion of Raider Nation believes he fits because they think he's like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, and Danny Amendola. First, I must dispel the myth that Renfrow is like Welker, Edelman, and Amendola. Skin tone doesn't make you play anything like another player. The former Patriots slot receivers are well-disciplined route runners that stay within the structure of the offense. The offense McDaniels uses is based on route concepts, and all those concepts get you open because the defense has a choice to make on what they want to take away. Then, of course, there are times the slot receiver has an option of what route to run based on where the defense is lined up. But routes the slot receiver runs are all cookie-cutter routes that all receivers run in the NFL. Renfrow doesn't fit that mold like the former Patriots slot receivers do. He's more of a freelance route runner that makes up his own routes like the China route. You can't really do that in McDaniels' Earnhardt-Perkins system because the route concepts have receivers running routes off of each other. Off-track routes can make you run into your fellow receivers. Gruden saw how effective Renfrow was with his routes, so he changed the structure of a few plays to fit his routes in. McDaniels is too rigid for that. You will also have to consider the fact that the new regime signed Renfrow to that big contract based on what he did in 2021. He had 1,038 yards and 9 touchdowns receiving, but you think he was going to do that year in and year out? Renfrow never had a 1,000-yard receiving season in his lifetime before his magical season of 2021. There were a lot of stars aligned for that to happen too. The first thing that happened is emerging star receiver Henry Ruggs had the drunk driving incident where he killed a young lady and her dog. Then the Raiders had Waller miss 6 games, including 5 in a row during their stretch run. Carr had him the previous 2 years, so he knew what he could do, so turning him into the go-to guy wasn't hard. I'll tell you what, anyone that says the Raiders got lucky to make the playoffs in 2021 doesn't respect Renfrow because he made a lot of big catches to help the team win games down the stretch. But is it smart for the Raiders to pay Renfrow big money with Devontae Adams on the team? How likely is he to have another 1,000-yard season when the offense is all about Adams and running back Josh Jacobs now? The NFL game is no longer the same game it was when Welker, Edelman, and Amendola were around. It looks like McDaniels has changed with the game too. The slot used to be for small, quick, but not fast receivers. But nowadays, big number 1 receivers are lining up in the slot to get a mismatch with small slot corners. They've actually done that for a while to get their number 1 away from the opposing team's number 1 corner. They do that a lot more now because a lot of number 1 corners don't feel comfortable in the slot. Then there are a lot of teams that use a big slot for that mismatch, even when their number 1 receivers line up outside. That eats into enough of the quintessential slot receiver snaps. The big thing offenses are doing these days is putting blazers in the slot. There's a lot an offense can do when they can threaten the defense down the seam. The NFL is a copycat league, and once they saw Tyreek Hill, who's quick and fast in the slot, the game changed. The Raiders drafted Trey Tucker and signed DeAndre Carter for speed in the slot. Adams and free agent signee Jacoby Myers will fill the big slot role. Renfrow took a much bigger role down the stretch of the 2021 season, and he was paid handsomely for it in 2022. But in 2022, Adams came over and Jacobs emerged as the NFL's leading rusher, shrinking Renfrow's role back down to size. Put that together with the fact that the NFL is putting more of their big number 1 receivers in the slot, and they're especially using speed in the slot more these days. Then put that together with the fact that the Raiders drafted baby Gronk in the 2nd round and Renfrow's really not going to see the ball much, so he can't earn that big salary. I think he's out. What do you think? Thank you for watching. See you next time.